Hello, inventors and friends of iCAN. It's Bob from Inventors Circle, and I'm proud to present my keynote titled Nikola Tesla, Genius Out of Time. Over the years, I have done several seminars on Tesla locally, but this one is really very special to me because now it will be available globally. My Tesla slideshow consists of two major parts. The first one covers the important bits of his life, and the second part focuses on the relatively recent revival of Tesla's legacy. Everything about Tesla's life was somewhat unique and unusual, starting with his home birth, which happened exactly at midnight on July the 10th, 1856, and it was accompanied by a colossal lightning flash and a deafening thunderclap. Nikola grew up in the Austro-Hungarian Empire in a small farmhouse in the town of Smiljan, which is now located in Croatia. Tesla got his European education in Graz, Austria, Budapest, and Prague, and often had to correct his own teachers. There is very little known about his school years, but he was learning fast. It was also in February 1892 in Budapest where Tesla invented alternating current while walking in a park with a friend. 2 years later, in 1884, Tesla, now 28 years old, arrived in New York City and met first with Thomas Alva Edison. Wow, they did not get along at all. Their approach to inventing was so different, their separation was inevitable, and it actually started the infamous war on currents, AC versus DC. With the combination of his extraordinary gifts, his vast knowledge, and his mission, he was now able to face the limited business opportunities in the United States. So to him, it would be impossible not to be successful. His biggest mistake, however, was to almost blindly trust his financial investors. In the end, fear and greed by his opponents sealed Tesla's fate. Tesla never owned a house or apartment. He spent most of his time in New York and always lived in a hotel for more than 60 years. Examples are the Waldorf Astoria, owned by his friend John Jacob Astor, and the New Yorker Hotel, where he died. Tesla also never married, but being tall and handsome, he had many women admiring him. Connecting the dots over the years, it eventually became very clear to me that something went terribly wrong, and Tesla's vision was suppressed and censored to the point that his name was intentionally removed from all history books, all school books, and even the electrical courses in the United States. And that's why kids grow up and electrical engineers graduate without ever hearing the name Tesla. How crazy is that? Well, a massive conspiracy by the powers that be at his time was secretly concocted and slowly executed, and it became so complex on many levels, but it was spearheaded by a ruthless banker by the name of J.P. Morgan. Somehow it is amazing to me that roughly 60 years after his death, a practically uncoordinated movement took place worldwide. Books were published, societies were formed. Suddenly, new statues would appear all over the world. Streets and airports were renamed, and new museums were opened, and several films were made in Tesla's honor. Did you know that if everything were shut off that Tesla invented, our civilization would come to a grinding halt?
Nikola Tesla, genius out of time. There are only a limited amount of real photographs of Tesla in existence. Some of them are showing here in a chronological collage. Oddly enough, did you know that Tesla was not even his original family name? His family was part of a migrating Zadruga whose name was actually Draganic. His great-grandfather's teeth looked a lot like the shape of an axe they were using, so his people started calling him the Serbian name of that axe, which was called a Tesla. The name stuck, and their family name became Tesla. Here are rare pictures of Nikola's parents, and I stuck him in the middle as a growing teenager. His father, Milutin, was the priest of their village. His mother, Juka, was a very creative, and Nikola Tesla claims his inventiveness came from his mother. Growing up, Tesla encountered several traumatic experiences. Very young, he tried to fly off the barn roof using his self-made parachute, but it failed, and he suffered a bad concussion. Another trauma affected him throughout his whole life because his older brother, Dane, fell off a horse and died at the age of 12. Very sickly as a child, he had several accidents and nearly 3 near-death experiences. He also contracted cholera and was being bedridden for 9 months. But after he went back to school, he discovered that his memory improved dramatically. Everything he read, he remembered perfectly. So he started spending a lot of time in libraries, amassing more and more knowledge all the time. Little is known about his time of higher education. But once Tesla arrived in America, he was eager to meet with Edison. And as we know, they really did not get along at all. And it was actually George Westinghouse who approached him, bought his AC patents, and manufactured the first polyphase generators. But I thought Thomas Edison was the father of electric age. Nope, it was Tesla. Back in his lab in New York, he invented the Tesla coil. High voltage can produce artificial lightning. He also patents the Tesla coil circuitry. About 10 years ago, Inventors Circle also built a large Tesla coil in Toronto. Look at the huge sparks it could make. Next, Tesla meets with J.P. Morgan, a ruthless banker. Morgan was already scheming the US government into taking over the country's treasury at the time. But suffering from rhinophyma and rosacea on his huge nose, Morgan was a pretty commanding challenge for Tesla. Tesla is now ready to invent and conquer wireless technology. He lectures and demonstrates his inventions many times. These AC generators built by Westinghouse were most likely to power the Columbian exhibition in 1893. It was an amazing accomplishment. Tesla demonstrates his remote-controlled boat on a lake in Hyde Park. He hides the remote in his pocket, and he causes people to panic into thinking he was possessed. Tesla also patents the logic gate. Probably while designing his remote controls, it forms the foundation of all computer technology to follow. Because he could not complete his wireless research in the city, he temporarily moved to Colorado Springs and built a complete new laboratory out in the country. Here's a beautiful and unique picture taken in his lab in Colorado Springs. With just 2 of his towers, he claims he could transmit information across oceans. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. This is one of his most famous quotes. In 1901, he starts building the lab and the famous tower in Shoreham, Long Island. His friend Stanford White is an architect, and he designs the Wardenclyffe buildings. The lab is today a new Tesla museum. The Wardenclyffe name was derived from James Warden, who actually purchased the land for Tesla. Here's the picture of the unfinished tower, and on the right is a drawing of what it could have looked like. Only very few pictures exist of the new laboratory inside. Here's a great picture of him in his Wardenclyffe lab. Morgan keeps planning to take over the US Treasury on Jekyll Island. John Jacob Astor, also an investor in Tesla's projects, strongly opposes the takeover because Astor was a powerful patriot and much richer than Morgan. Morgan owned the White Star Line and starts building 3 identical ships in Belfast, Ireland: the Olympic, the Titanic, and the Britannic. On its maiden voyage, the Olympic was badly damaged and ended up back in Belfast, right beside the Titanic. And that's when the names were secretly switched, and the Olympic became the Titanic, ready to be launched next. Morgan then puts in place a murderer's plan. By inviting the congressman who opposed the Treasury takeover for a free ride on the unsinkable Titanic. Tesla was also invited to join the trip, but he declined. Maybe he had a premonition? Morgan then arranged to sink the damaged ship intentionally. On April 15, 1912, the planned tragedy happened flawlessly. I highly recommend for everyone to use the link below and watch this documentary to learn the details of this despicable crime. All went well for Morgan. The congressman died, and the Federal Reserve legislation was unlawfully passed in December 1913. It was never corrected, and it is still fraudulent today. Morgan not only stopped all the payments to Tesla, but he also helped in the dynamiting the Wardenclyffe Tower. Tesla admits he cried for weeks. He had called the project the World Communication Center. It was a major loss and his life's dream destroyed. Tesla never really recuperated. Business can be very cruel. Great inventions often receive violent opposition from mediocre minds, Einstein reminds us. But Tesla knew he would be vindicated eventually. He said, "The present is theirs. The future for which I really worked is mine." His friend, Hugo Gernsback, published Tesla's autobiography in his magazine in New York. I do not think there is any thrill that can go through the human heart like that felt by the inventor as he sees some creation of the brain unfolding to success. Such emotions make a man forget food, sleep, friends, love, everything. Tesla's early X-ray appears on the front of the New York Times. Wilhelm Röntgen, so-called the inventor, published his discovery only in 1896, but Tesla had made this X-ray picture already nearly 10 years earlier. Only few people know about Tesla's medical inventions. All the PEMF, the pulsed electromagnetic fields healing beds, contain Tesla coils. He also invented the ozonator that infuses oxygen in water or oils, benefiting everyone's health. Because Tesla often worked with very high AC voltage, he felt the damage to his own health, and he learned how to design low-volt DC therapeutic instruments to heal himself. Taken naked in his empty bathtub, he called it taking dry baths. So many devices used today are based on Tesla's inventions. In fact, the Canadian company developed the Centurion Teslatron already in 1986. Tesla also built a machine to make an egg stand up straight, called the Egg of Columbus. Click on the link to see how it works in real life. As a genius, having amazing abilities and talent, Tesla also had savant syndrome. He said, "My brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know it exists." The core he refers to is now defined as the Akashic Records, a massive compendium of all universal knowledge. Tesla was also blessed with the power of eidetic imagery. He could see very clearly 3D moving objects in his mind, to the point that he could actually notice wear marks while he was running his machines in his head. Tesla loved traveling, and he also could speak 9 languages fluently. Here's the original copy of his passport in 1883, just before he traveled to the US. Marconi stole 17 of Tesla's patents. So Tesla sues him. But litigation was suspended during World War I. And 3 months after Tesla's death, the Supreme Court in the US finished hearing the case and rightfully proclaimed Tesla the inventor of radio. He was also invited, but he declined to speak on his own invention. He just could not handle the invisible audience, he called it. He filed 300 useful US patents. The first one in 1886, the last one in 1928. That is 42 years, filing 7 patents on average per year. Don't forget his lab burned down suspiciously in New York, and he was invited to the Titanic, and years later, a cab driver hit him badly, maybe even tried to kill him. Here is Tesla's signature retrieved from the patents. If you only knew the magnificence of the 3, 6, and 9, then you would have the key to the universe. Resulting from his deep mathematical work, this is probably my favorite Tesla quote. Here is a list of 13 of his important frequency inventions. Probably AC, radio, and the wireless are the most important ones. And here is the list of 7 of his important mechanical inventions. Did you even know he invented the jet engine and the vertical takeoff flivver that he called, the ozonator, and so forth? This is a picture that appeared on the Time magazine front page whilst Tesla was still alive. He also said, "Scientists of today think deeply instead of clearly. One must be sane to think clearly, but one can think deeply and be quite insane." History clearly shows that things went wrong. First of all, the time and the money Tesla spent on his patents, only for them to be stolen from him. Then the money people and the powers that be never fully understood him and became scared of him. They cut off his funding. They deprived him of everything. They disempowered him and ruined his reputation. Then they blackballed him with a made-up catchphrase called mad scientist. His name was unlawfully removed from history books. No one knows for sure how Tesla died, but a book called The Bush Connection appeared on April 4, 2021. It reveals a lot of truths about World War II, including a deathbed confession by Otto Skorzeny, saying that Tesla was choked to death in his room. After all, he was 86 and a half years old, and he outlived most of his contemporaries. Here's a picture of the book, The Bush Connection, written by Eric Orion. He also wrote the book on Otto Skorzeny, who was Hitler's private commando and bodyguard, and he died in 1975 when he made his confession. Tesla's body was discovered by room service in his hotel, and very quickly all his possessions were confiscated by the Office of Alien Property. Gee, why alien property, seeing that he was a US citizen since 1891? He had a safe and 80 large wooden boxes, one of which contained what he had called the death ray. Tesla should have been the richest man in the world. After all, he accelerated the industrial age, started the electric age, and also the electronic age. Part 2 of my presentation is all about Tesla's legacy and the revival. A beautiful portrait was painted by Princess Vilma Parlagi. And the Serbian ambassador to the US sends Tesla's belongings to Belgrade, and the Nikola Tesla Museum opens up in 1952. His ashes are kept there in a golden sphere. A bust of Tesla is first unveiled in Croatia. In 1956, a German commission proclaims the Tesla as the International Scientific Unit of Magnetic Flux Density. The country of Yugoslavia donates a Tesla monument to be unveiled in Niagara Falls on the US side. The Tesla Memorial Society is founded in New York City in 1979. And in 1984, a Californian band called Tesla was formed. Listen to their music. Tesla's image appears on money in the country of Serbia. Street corners and plaques are dedicated to Tesla in New York City. Elon Musk starts his Tesla car company in 2003. Niagara Falls, Canada. A beautiful Tesla statue is unveiled in 2006. It was commissioned by a Serbian Orthodox church, and a local sculptor by the name of Leslie Drysdale won the competition. Happy 150th birthday, Nico. His statue depicts the very special moment Tesla had his polyphase epiphany, as it is known, while walking in a park with a friend in Budapest. With his walking stick, Tesla drew the schematic for his AC generator in the sand in the park. Here's a picture of the memorial plaque on that statue. As a young man, Tesla saw a picture of Niagara Falls and immediately said he will use it to produce electricity. In 2006, a new museum opens up in Tesla's childhood home in Smiljan, Croatia. That same year, Serbia changes their airport's name to Nikola Tesla Airport and also added another new statue. A new Tesla bust appears in Manhattan in front of the St. Sava Cathedral. And of course, not to be outdone, Silicon Valley unveils a new statue in 2013. Then a number of films were released. In 2010, The Sorcerer's Apprentice film was released. In 2012, Tesla, Ruler of the World is released. And in 2016, Tower of the People, the film is released on Tesla's 160th birthday. In Toronto, a new Tesla magazine was launched in 2013. And here I am. I ran into a Nikola Tesla lookalike at a trade show in Toronto. How funny is that? Every year, Tesla Tech in the US hosts a 3-day conference in the state of New Mexico. One of the first Tesla biographies was written by a lady called Margaret Cheney in 1981. Then Mark Seifer writes his 550-page doctorate on Tesla and publishes the book called Wizard in 1996. It is the best and biggest Tesla biography. Then Nigel Hawthorne publishes a large Tesla hardcover with many beautiful color pictures in 2014. Mad Like Tesla, written by Tyler Hamilton, was published in 2011. In 2013, Inventors Circle puts on the first Tesla night in Toronto. Several more were to follow. Tesla Educational Corporation was approved to change a street in the city of Hamilton in Ontario. Vic Djurdjevic, founder of the Nikola Tesla Educational Corporation, said the name Nikola Tesla will be placed on the map. Hey, Nikola Tesla Boulevard is done. And the total cost to change all the street signs is 150,000 Canadian dollars raised privately in only 3 months. Then the Wardenclyffe property on Long Island was bought with $1.2 million in crowdfunding. The tower was gone, but the lab is still standing. In 2019, that Tesla Science Center opened up in Shoreham, Long Island, open to the public. And lastly, in the fall of 2021, the Ontario government enacts Nikola Tesla Day on July the 10th. And we had a party already on the first one in 2022. And this is the end of my slideshow. I hope you enjoyed it, and I thank you very much for your attention.